All right. Good morning, everybody. This is the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Training number 116 on a Wednesday, May 13th, 2015. May 13th. Well, it's not Friday the 13th, which is too bad because I like that day. Anyway, I want to welcome everybody here to the program. Say hello to John this morning. How we doing, John?
Oh, what are you doing tossing it back to me? I told you I was going to send out a quick email here. No, I'm doing great. You know what? The email is now on hold for the next 30 minutes. I'm doing great this morning. I don't know, it's the middle of the session. It's getting, I love the middle of a hot session, right before the climax, so it's going great this session. And as you know, we're changing the human language to be more positive and to create a more positive mental attitude. And that's kind of what I believe we were talking about on this hangout on Monday. So, oh gosh, new op day. I mean, not that other one.
It's not easy, man. That stuff's been ingrained in there for a long, long time.
Yes. And you know what, how does changing the the English language relate to wholesale real estate? Well, it relates to success. And if you want to be successful in wholesale real estate or anything else, you're going to have to change the way you think. That's the bottom line. Most people are programmed for failure, not programmed for success. When you actually begin to become aware of that, your life transforms. And as you continue down this journey of self-improvement, self-development, figuring out new, better ways to make money and do things, you'll see that all of what we talk about here really does make sense to how it does pertain to wholesale real estate. So with that, good morning. Welcome to the show. And I don't know if you've already got something on your mind that you'd like to speak of, so I'll throw it back over to you for that opportunity. But I was actually having some real interesting thoughts on my walk this morning that I'd like to share about kind of the state of things in the United States of America, and what I see as the only possible solution to major problems that I think this country and we as citizens are facing. And before I get into my little piece, I'd like to hear what Paul had planned for today, or what his thoughts are, because as usual, I bet it ties right into what he's thinking about.
I have no idea, but all I know is the answer to your question is make a lot of money and make it real fast. Well, I guess that does sort of tie in because somebody was trying to make a lot of money real fast. Obviously, I need to address the title here, how to turn a mugging into a business meeting. I'm going to change the format on this a little bit, John.
Wait a second. Before you repeat that again, how you turn a mugging into a business meeting?
Yes.
Now,
I had a mastermind with infinite intelligence this morning.
I think I like where you're going with this. So
I'm going to throw the format around a little bit different on what we're putting out there live here, and I'm going to start changing, putting some fun titles in here to attract more people to click in and see what the heck we're talking about, and move the Sell a House Wholesale training down into the description area, just so, like I said, just to attract some more people to come in here and see what we're talking about, maybe get them to hang around and pick up on the get down, and who knows what they're going to come around with, So anyway, that's a little deal there. But yeah, how to turn a mugging into a business meeting. Like I said, I woke up this morning, got out of bed, brushed my teeth, and got called back to a meeting with a mastermind with infinite intelligence. And during that mastermind, I got this picture of sort of a Jeff Tuesday morning thing, sort of a business gathering sort of thing that was taking place in a cafe sort of thing. And for whatever reason, you and I had to get up and leave and go, down the alleyway a few blocks for some reason. Makes no sense. But along the way, we picked up a couple of visitors, who followed us to the end of our 2-3 block area that we were walking to. We got to the end. They walked up right behind us and stopped right there with us. Then we turned around, started heading back. And it was like, very obvious. Okay, these guys are following us. There's 2 guys and a girl. There's you and me. The guys have been following us for a half a block or a block and a half up to the end. Turn around, they're following us back. So, I mean, it's very obvious here. There's a mugging coming up. You know, there's no question about what's about to happen here. Everybody knows it. It's just like, okay, we're just waiting for you guys to make your move. And so finally, one of the guys comes around front and pulls open his jacket, pulls out the gun. And you're like, well, dude, hey, listen, man, I literally don't have any cash on me. I mean, I got, oh, shoot. Actually, I do. I've got a dollar bill. You're welcome to have it. And then I started playing off, well, hey, listen, I really don't have any cash either. And I said, oh, wait a second. I do have some cash. And, oh, man, you guys this is your lucky day. There's a crisp $100 bill here. I didn't even know I had in my pocket. Right on, and then, so here you go. And I was like, oh, wait a second. No, they're like, where's your wallet? Because you had pulled out your wallet, and it's nothing in my wallet either, and stuck it back in your pocket. And they're like, where's your wallet? And I'm like, well, my wallet's in my phone right here, and there's no money. Oh, wait a second. There is some money in here. Yeah, look at that. Here's another freaking $40, right? And I hand over $40, and then turned into. I looked. They were just like, "Is that all you got?" And I was like, "Well, no, not really. There's more in there." But so I guess I'll have to give you all of this. And they're like, "Well, give us the phone. Just give us the phone." I'm like, "Well, hang on a second. We need to negotiate this because you guys are obviously, you're conducting business here, and we're not preventing you from, conducting your business here. This phone is my business, and you're going to be preventing me from my being able to do my business if you take my phone. I do have another $150 in here. Here you go. That's the last of it. You can look and see right now, but you'll allow me to keep the phone." And they're like, "Well, I'm not inhibiting your business here. We're conducting a mutual business agreement here. So, I mean, there's got to be a little give and take." And the guy's like, well, you can keep the phone. I'm like, okay, that's great. So we're going to get back to our meeting. And then these guys follow us, and they come into the restaurant, to the cafe where we're, the two guys and the girl follow us into the cafe. And as we're sitting down, the girl's sitting down at the table where we were sitting at. And I'm like, so, what are you doing for lunch tomorrow? I'd like to, propose another business opportunity to you. And she's like, well, I guess I could do that. We could meet up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And so I turned the whole mugging here into a business negotiation that turned around and was setting up for a Swissquote Global presentation, or a Noodler presentation on with this person. So that's how you turn a mugging into a business meeting. That was my like I said, my mastermind with infinite intelligence this morning. And for those of you who are going, what the heck's a mastermind with infinite intelligence in the morning? Basically, yeah, I got up and I wasn't ready to get up. I needed to lay down for another 20-30 minutes, whatever it was. And that was the meeting that I had. That was the education that came out of it. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. People thought, that there's the purpose of the title. There's the funness in today's meeting. And I will go ahead and let John take off with that and redirect this back towards his world going to hell in a handbasket thoughts.
Hey, I just want to say the world doesn't necessarily have to go to hell in a handbasket. See, I had a walk and a talk with infinite intelligence myself, and kind of a really emotional kind of a feeling of positivity about how this can all be fixed. And you know what? It's a grand vision. It's a probable vision, but it's a daunting task. So, and nothing's going to happen overnight. You're talking about a complete reprogramming of the human mind, of not just yourself, but every single person that you come into contact with. And it's about getting a message out there and elevating yourself to a level where you have people that actually will listen to your message. I'll get into that in a minute, because I like the whole idea of, turning a mugging into a business meeting. That is kind of funny. But it got me thinking that it's not just, I've never personally been mugged by, I've been mugged by criminals, but not in the sense of a guy coming up to me on the street, putting a gun in my back and saying, give me your wallet. There's other ways in which we're getting mugged every day by the government. I was, in my opinion, I kind of touched upon on Monday a personal situation without getting into the details, but I was, in my opinion, mugged by people that are legally supposed to be out there to protect and to serve you. I feel that the police department mugged me last week. There's muggings that go on all the time, which isn't just somebody putting a gun in your back. In fact, right after the hangout on Monday, we are going to be entering our own court case against a seller that contracted us a problem that after about 10 days and 4 days before closing changed her mind. And another investor talked her into doing something quite stupid I was mugged by two people. I was mugged by my seller who we had a written contracted agreement with, and don't be afraid to sue people. This is a business based on contract and promises, and when someone breaks a promise that's set into a contract, it's your right to, make sure the outcome happens in the proper way. So I was mugged by her, and we were mugged by the other investor. So I love the whole concept you brought about a mugging turn into a business meeting, because, and then just taking that to another step of just think about all the different people out there with a handout coming to mug you to take your money, whether it's, a guy with a gun in your back, or it's the IRS, or it's the local police, or it's a friend or a seller, and turn all these muggings.
Or it's just your service provider who, raises rates, or, just everything. Every time you turn around, somebody's trying to stick their hand in your pocket.
And you know what? That's the reality of the situation. Don't be a victim to it. Don't let it get you down. And the reason I love Paul's whole thing is turn mugging into a business meeting is because that there's a silver lining in every cloud, and there's a positive to every situation. I don't care how negative something seems. If you only see negative, you will have a negative life. No matter how negative something seems, work your hardest to pull the gold nugget, the lesson, the positive, the silver lining out of every situation, and turn it into an opportunity. So, Paul's little story there about turning that mugging into some sort of an opportunity, look at everything that way. I absolutely love that. It doesn't necessarily not relate to it actually does relate to my thought this morning, because as I'm walking this morning, weather's beautiful, everything's good. I'm walking up to get a cup of coffee at the gas station since my son broke my coffee maker, and I, got to go spend 99 cents on a coffee now, which I feel that's kind of mugging me. It's, but anyways,
a coffee mugging.
Looking around at how beautiful the day is, how good that I'm feeling, and just thinking about really all the abundance and the possibilities and the opportunity that still absolutely 100% exist out there in the world, no matter what the media says, what you're feeling. There is so much opportunity and abundance out there for people that are willing to be a warrior and go out, take action, and demand their fair share of that ginormous pie. Everybody deserves a piece. Even the guy that I walked by who was, bumming for change up at the corner by the gas station, he deserves a piece of the pie. I don't know if he's gonna really doing what he's doing with his current mindset is gonna afford him any substantial piece of the pie. In fact, he'll probably always be suffering, because I don't know his story or how he ended up where he ended up, but in all likelihood, in his mind, he's a victim somehow. And so that doesn't deter me. I'm used to seeing people bumming out. If you live in Phoenix, west of the 17, all you see is people bumming out. Every corner, every exit off the freeway, doesn't matter. You see them everywhere. They'll ask your children for change. They'll ask your 5-year-old kid for change when you're taking your kid for a walk. Ask me how I know, because, I've got a 5-year-old son. There's no shame in it. Then this got my mind thinking about a personal friend of mine that 9 months ago, maybe 10 months ago, was the last time I had seen him. We had hung out. I ran into him randomly up at the local bar and grill where I love to go on Monday nights for the $5 hamburgers. I know the owners. The place is great. Long story short, ran into my buddy about 9 months ago. We had gone out that night when we ran into each other, and he introduced me to girls. We were out till 4 in the morning. It was awesome. He was cool as hell. He had girls hanging around him, chicks, partying in a good way, you know, and it was pretty awesome. And about, 2 weeks ago now at this point, I ran into him again, and I was shocked at the person he had become in just 9 months. Homeless, drug addict, bumming for change, didn't even recognize me, talking to my kids, talking about spiders eating his legs. I mean, complete 720, not even a 180 from the person I would have thought he was or would become. And I'm thinking about, after this guy this morning asked me for change, and then I walked in to get my coffee, and I just noticed people looking miserable on this beautiful freaking day where I'm sitting right now in my backyard, like soaking in this weather, in my nice clean patio with my puppy, on this hangout with Paul, knowing all this abundance and opportunities out there, and just to see the misery in people's faces. And you know what? My part of town, you see more negativity, I feel, than positivity. That's out there. That's standard. That's what's to be expected. You can't overcome it. It's a reality. The only way you can overcome it is by training yourself to look for the positivity. And when I had this thought about, and Paul's thing kind of sums it up, we're being mugged. How do we turn the mugging into a business meeting? And you say, all right, how are we being mugged? A lot of things have been set in motion by this government over the last 35, 40 years with international trade agreements that have literally taken the hope of a good job out of the United States of America. Okay? It's the reality. Also, the way in the early 80s, they transitioned from pension plans into having people move all their money into 401ks, how that is destroyed the hopes for retirement for most of the people that have been working for years in their life, and how that problem hasn't even come to the forefront yet. Because yes, there will be another crash in the stock market, and everybody who's just gained back everything that they've lost since 07, 08, they're now back to square one. And guess what happens when they get back to square one? There will be another market collapse in the stock market. It's an inevitability. It happens every 10 years. And every 10 years, people are starting over with their retirement. But they're not starting over. They're 4 steps behind because of inflation has still taken place. So not have they only lost and they're starting at square one where they were 10 years ago with what they've actually have in savings, the actual value of their savings has lost out to inflation. So I've got all these thoughts going on this morning about these people have a reason to look miserable in the morning. The reason being is their hope. There is no hope. How does a guy like Obama win an election 8 years ago, and his whole pitch to the people was hope and change? And guess what? It worked. He didn't define what we had hope in. He didn't define what the change that was going to happen in America, which nothing changed, really. We continued down the same path we've been continuing down for the last 30 years, which is inflation, which is hyping up the economic growth that doesn't exist, pumping money in to create a bubble in another market to compensate for the bubble that broke in real estate. Nothing's changed. It is business as usual. But people are so jaded and so looking for a light at the end of the tunnel that they're being easily conned into these false BS hyped up political what's the word I'm looking for, Paul? Propaganda of we're sold. You use the word hope and you use the word change. word change. You don't back it up with anything of substance, but we're buying in because we're desperate for hope and change. So this is where my mindset was this morning. And how does this tie into seeing a light at the end of the tunnel and what the solution is? The solution, the only solution I see is education and entrepreneurial spirit. You know, it is our mission, my mission, and I believe it should be the mission of anybody who has the slightest inclination of or gets what we're talking about here. It's our duty to introduce people to positive mental attitude, to introduce people to positivity. Start on a small scale, because people are going, all right, John, that's great, that's grand, but I'm an insignificant nobody. I feel good about my life. I don't know how to get this message out there. You know, this message starts with while you're on the road. You're going to change lanes. Use your signal. Don't hog the road. Drive defensively, not offensively. Let people cut in front of you when they need to, when you're in a zone where there's construction or something going on. And rather than have to race up ahead of you to cut one person in from getting in front of you, literally saving no time in your day, let them in. You know, simple, random acts of kindness, but make that part of your DNA. Make that part of your routine. You know, walking into a store, be a gentleman. Hold the door for the person walking in behind you. I can't stand when I go to walk in someplace and there's literally a person 5 feet in front of me, opens the door, walks in, lets the door go and slam it in front of you. It's like people are walking around like zombies, unaware that anyone exists except them and their problems. Get out of that habit right now. You know what? Everybody's tuned into this station. What's in it for me? But guess what? Tune your station into how can I help and reach other people? You know what? I come to the realization that if I spend my time thinking about me, thinking about my problems, I get nowhere. But if I spend my time thinking about solutions for other people and how I can live my life to serve others, the doors fly open with the opportunities that are available. The checks just pour into your fucking banking account, and checks and money wired into your bank account like you wouldn't believe. The whole reason why we're successful in wholesale real estate is because we've made it the mission of this business to help people in desperate situations walk away a winner. And in doing so, we're creating a win-win situation for not just them, but not and ourselves, but for the investors that we wholesale the properties to, for the contractors getting work, for the city who's getting paid off for the code violations, for the neighborhood where the house is being transformed. All these things, wholesale real estate. Get in the habit of sharing a positive mental attitude with others and open your mouth. Tell people about how important it is to think positively. But it all comes down to this, the realization that there's very few jobs out there that actually offer opportunity for the average person to ever become financially free or really feel like a success. And that's more important than anything else, is that you feel successful. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're a school teacher because you want to work with children and you are going to work every day excited to go teach those kids and work with those kids and better their lives, you are a success no matter how much money you make. You know why? Because you're doing what you want to do every day and you're contributing in a positive way to the world that's out there. So there is a solution, and it starts with you. It starts with how you think, how you treat other people. And to me, the next part of this solution is bringing that to as many people as you can possibly touch. And really, there's only one real solution to get out of all these problems I think that we're in, and it's being an entrepreneur. It's becoming involved. It's beginning to find solutions. You know, I hear people bitch so much about what the government's doing, what the local government's doing, about war, about this. And they're like armchair warriors, man. Like everything sounds so good and I'm going to change the world. And I'm going to sit in the backyard with my beer and I'm going to talk to all my friends and I'm going to bitch about what's going on. But at the end of the day, they go to bed buzzed. They wake up in the morning, they go back to the job that they hate, and really all they're complaining about what's going on out there is really about the fact that they're unhappy with their situation, and rather than realize that they're playing a victim and they're bitching about everything that they have no impact on, just to get up and do the same thing every day, it's a way to justify themselves being lazy, because it's the government's fault. It's the homeless fault. It's the black person's fault. It's the welfare recipient's fault. It's Joe Blow's fault. It's everyone's fault but my own. People need to own up to where they are in their lives. And you know what? Rather than sitting back in a chair with a beer buzz and bitching, go out there and make a difference. Don't worry about how am I going to make a difference. Start concentrating on the fact that you can make a difference, and ask, what is the solution? And I realize there's two things that I want to get myself involved with. One is I was raised Catholic, though I really don't feel, I'm not going to justify it. I was raised Catholic. I'm involved with the Catholic Church. There's organizations down there that feed homeless. There's an organization down there called the Knights of Columbus that host food runs, and they feed homeless, and they reach out to members of the church family to offer people assistance. I asked myself this morning, what can I do to make a difference? You know what? I see these guys every Sunday when I'm at church. I'm going to join their organization this weekend, because you know how I can make a change? What are these guys doing? And you know what? I'm an influential person. I'm a confident person. I've got ideas. I think that I can help to bring this organization into another arena of getting things done. And maybe we can do a real estate project. Maybe we can get involved with members of the church who are broke, that don't see any hope, and we can offer them hope by fixing up their house. You know, little things like that. So my thought this morning is the only solution, the only way out of all these problems that we've got, is to acknowledge they exist. Don't be a victim. Don't just complain, and don't worry about how we're going to fix the world, but ask, how can I participate in a solution to the bigger problem, and do whatever you can on a small scale to fix the problems. Now, how does this relate to wholesale real estate? That's my contribution to society, is going out there and fixing Phoenix one house at a time. So that was kind of my thoughts this morning. So I'm going to toss it back over to Paul to kind of give his thoughts and kind of sum up. And I can see how this relates to how to turn a mugging into a business meeting. So,
well, yes, how to turn a universal mugging into a universal business meeting. You just took it from the two people in an alley to a world in a whole planet here. You know, in reality, that's what you're talking about. So, I mean, yeah, you know, I got a couple of things out of what you were talking about there. The people walking around like zombies, you know, that thinking about nothing but me and my problems. That in and of itself right there is the beginning. That's the core, that's the root of the whole thing. When you're walking around and the only thing that you're freaking focusing upon is yourself and your own problems, guess what you're going to get? More of your own problems for yourself, because that's all you ever think about, you know? So, I mean, you can't even begin to fathom the idea of a solution because you're so focused upon the problem. And so that plays into what you were talking about you know, delivering the whole idea of promoting, you know, people like us, bringing more people like us together, and promoting, you know, the positive mental attitude, promoting pure positivity in the world. And yeah, you know, we've all got problems, but when you have a positive mental attitude, you don't focus upon what the problem is and what the problem is causing in your life. What you turn your thoughts around to is focusing upon, well, what caused the problem in the first place? And how can I, you know, prevent this problem from ever happening again by fixing what caused it in the first place? So there's a whole different side there. You know, when you're looking at, you know, like John says, from the justification victim side of things, you're only looking at the problem and what's happening to you. When you're looking at it from the positive mental attitude side, you know, which that side, you know, the problem and what's happening to you is the end, it's the result. But when you're looking at it from a positive mental attitude, you're looking at the beginning, you're looking at the cause, you're looking at the, you know, the root of what brought this into your life in the first place. And with a positive mental attitude, you can realize that, hey, if I change what caused this, instead of worrying about changing what's already happened, which is too late for that, but if you change what caused it, it never happens again, your life is ultimately better. I was overhearing somebody on the phone the other day, which plays right into this actually. They were talking about just bitching about everything. And I heard a statement in there of, you know, I just want to get my kid back. And I was like, okay. I mean, and that's the first thing that I thought of was, okay, you know, and I mean, and it went on from there into, you know, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And, you know, because of him and blah, 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 you know, and all this crap and blaming and justifying and all of that. And I heard about, I don't know, I probably kind of overheard and listened to about maybe a minute and a half of this. I didn't need to hear anymore. But, I mean, it just instantly in my mind, listening to what this person is doing because she just wants to get her kid back. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? Stop worrying about what the hell happened. The kid's gone, okay? You might be able to get it back, but it's a freaking hassle. You know, there's many, many roadblocks, and you know what? You're probably not going to be able to do it listening to who you are right now. Go back and figure out, okay, why is my kid gone? Why was my kid taken away from me, or whatever the situation is? Figure out what you did, not what happened around you, not all these other things that caused this to happen, what you did to cause this to happen, and change those things. And before you know it, you'll have your kid back. So that just kind of goes right along with what John was saying there. And it's funny that conversation kind of rolls into that I just overheard, like I said, for about a minute. But, you know, and the whole idea of, it does come down to each and every one of us. Number one, look at the man in the mirror. Look at yourself. It all starts with you, and nothing in your life is going to get better until you make things in your life better, and nothing around you is going to get better, and in anybody else's life that you touch, until you first can focus on yourself. Then you can get to a point to where, you know, John's talking about where he's at now. Realistically, both John and I came from a place like that, and we came to the realization, and we found the fact that we need to work on ourselves, and we've done so over the course of a few years, and it's made a huge difference. And in fact, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's the difference between where I was financially and where I'm going right now, which is two different worlds. And so, there's no question in my mind that it all boils down to that. So now we're in a position where, you know, hey, we were able to sort of get things squared away with ourselves and that sort of thing. And now we can take all of this new knowledge and everything that we have, and we can start sharing that with others. And that's the whole thing right there, is sharing with others, like John said, bottom line, positive mental attitude and just flat out pure positivity in the world. So with that, that's all I got to add to it. And I'm going to throw it back to you, John, if you want to throw one last little tidbit onto the top of put the cherry on the top and take us home with the prayer.
Yes. You know, I would say if you did a survey of 100 people and you asked them if they consider themselves to be a positive person or not, I believe that you would probably have about 85% people telling you that, oh yeah, I'm a positive person. The other 15%, I believe, would admit to being pretty miserable, lousy, and negative. Because I know some people that will fully admit that there's no silver lining, blah, 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 blah. I would fully admit that they are miserable SOB. And you know what? Those 15%, because they're acknowledging their negativity, there is a chance that maybe they can acknowledge that there's hope to become a positive person. But the other 85%, let's talk about them. I would bet you out of those 85 people, 5 to 10 maybe actually are positive people. And because so many people think they're positive, and then when you look at the results that they get in life and you really break down how they treat things and how they actually really think about things, Majority of those people, I'd say 75 of them, don't even realize how negative they actually are. But that can be changed. And one thing I think, as we kind of said here today, about one way we can change the world is that really it starts with ourselves, and then letting that light and that positivity emanate from us and touch as many people as we humanly can with that type of energy. And don't worry about all the hows. You know, all right, how am I going to wholesale real estate? How am I going to become a positive person? How am I going to make some sort of positive impact on the world? How am I going to do these things? Don't worry about how it's going to get accomplished. Just think about how good it would, just think about how you feel if you were able to accomplish those things, and just let it come to you. Let the answers come to you, and just start small with baby steps. Because like I said, talking about joining the Knights of Columbus, I know they're a good organization. I know that they're easily accessible. To me, that's one way how. And mentally, I know that if I do join this organization, I guarantee you in 2 to 3 years, I will be one of the leaders in that organization, and we will be doing projects in the community that I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to become a leader in that organization. Quite frankly, I don't care how that's going to happen. It's just going to happen. And it's going to probably be a 2 to 3 year process to get to know the right people, get to build up in the ranks, get to see what they're doing, and introduce my ideas into what I would like to see them do in the community. Not going to worry about how it's going to get done. I know it's going to get done, and time will allow for that, and the answers will come. The point being is just start to feel good now, and start to try to think of solutions to problems you want fixed. You want to make more money? Wholesale real estate is just another vehicle, another way for you to make more money that's outside of a job. So that's really it for me. So if you want to go ahead, Paul, and finish this out with the prayer, and we're kind of 10 minutes over time, actually.
Okay, well, how do you know if you're a positive or a negative person? I say listen to your words. The words that come out of your mouth will tell you a lot. Okay, you can think you're positive, but next time somebody asks you a question, so similar along the lines of what do you want, do the words that come out of your mouth initially start describing what you don't want? That's, if you're a positive person, obviously if somebody says, what do you want? You're going to start telling them exactly what you want. But most people actually start immediately describing what it is that they really don't want. Do you follow a positive word with a negative word? Yeah, no. Yeah, no, listen to this. Things like that. Do you use double negatives? Do you, instead of saying, oh, that's a great idea, or yes, I can get that done, would you say, oh, no problem? 2 double negatives. Double negatives don't make positives. They make double negatives. So, listen to your words that come out of your mouth, and that will help you determine, am I really a positive person? Do I really think in a positive manner? Because you'll find, I think probably, let's see here, 85 minus 5, I would say 80% of you will find that your presentation of your thoughts through the words that come out of your mouth are putting out more of a negative than they are a positive. And with that, well, then you can become aware of what's going on, and you can figure out how to change it. So with that, oh universe, we ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to us at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct our own minds to whatever end we might desire. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you back here on Freedom Friday for another fantastic, I don't know where to go with another F word. See ya.